Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Show. I'm here at the Excel Centre to see the BETT show. I don't actually know what it means, but it's like an education technology show, and I'll be finding out today what that actually means. I've just driven down here from Oxford and actually my car just scraped in. I've never been so scared driving into a car park. There's that big metal barrier and I just got in there. Don't know why it's so low. Anyway, I'm going to be having a look today and see what we can see, and hopefully there'll be some interesting gadgets there.
Sorry about that, thank you.
Thank you. Wow, so I'm not really sure what to expect while I'm here. I'm just having a wander around, and I know I've got limited time. I've got to be somewhere a bit later, but look how packed it is. It's actually pretty bloody jam-packed. So I really ought to have picked up a guide, but I'm just going to sort of have a quick look around, and I can see up there it's been sponsored by Fluke and Schneider Electric, so lots of some of the big names there. These things look interesting, don't they? All these turbines and whatnots, 3D printers. Look at that. This is definitely the place to come for technology. Marvellous. These are cute little things, aren't they? Some sort of cardboard creations. Look at that. Bird brain technologies. Microbit. Always of great interest recently. You hear a lot about microbit and the various things you can make with them. I've never actually got hold of mine. They never turned up. I've always liked to look at these things too, though. I think these are the sort of Raspberry Pi laptops. Developing experts. I2I software. More interesting robot creations. There's going to be plenty of these here. More microbit stuff. Arduino. Those Pi tops are everywhere. Look at them. Plenty of Pi tops. Accede. Texas Instruments. Everybody's at it. Look at that though. Billy Sass would love this one. This is sort of calculator tech there, but you say calculator tech, what's the difference between a calculator tech and an Android tablet these days? This is your own interfaces as well, this Innovator Hub here.
Yes.
So it's a bit like, I'm going to say like an Arduino, Raspberry Pi, yes. Arduino. Okay.
Yes, the same idea, yes.
So this is an RGB program running here, I can see on there. And then that's going through, and then straight to this lamp.
Yes, and we have here the resistors and the breadboard that...
Oh, okay, so that's the current limiting resistors just on there, yes, and a little bit of breadboard.
LED inside.
And can people... Is it just like a system? If people want to buy this, they can buy the calculator and then buy the components?
Yes, also.
Oh, right, okay.
You could also buy the calculator or all the package, of course. And you have also the oven, where you can connect
the modules in the back? Okay.
Yes. And then we can see
And this one's actually running a...
Oh, no power.
Ah. Oh, there we go.
This is another one. He changed the program. He changed the program.
But it's so effectively though you could interact with the sensors on the device and run a program.
Yes.
So it's obviously full I/O then.
Yes.
And how?
This is a Ranger.
And how abstract are they? So if you've got this ultrasonic Ranger,
Yes.
is it giving a measure, an analog
Yes.
value that you can process? So it's not just binary. It's actually
No. It's an analog value. Of
Okay.
course. It's transforming in a value in a value, of course. And then you can measure the distance and make decisions.
really nice.
And you can connect also other sensors. Output sensors, for example, a relay.
Yeah.
And you can also connect, for example, an input sensor like this one.
So you can make your own little robot.
Yes, or a color. This is a color sensor.
Oh, nice.
So you can follow a path with two colors.
And where do people go if they want to look at the system? Just on the website, TI, or somewhere?
Yes, education.ti.com.
Education.ti.com. Okay. They do look funky, these TI calcs. I am a bit of a calc buff, so
if you don't like that,
always tempting to see a calculator. Raspberry Pis, obviously, Raspberry Pi Foundation, always popular, of course. In fact, I can't think of many. There's many projects involving Raspberry Pi, isn't there? The Fab Lab factory. Look at that. That's a nice one for you Gameboys, Gameboy fans. I think that's the biggest Game Boy I've seen. And look at that. Pretty much 3D printed. And oh look, it does work. Oh. Brilliant, isn't it? Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, it wouldn't be an educational sort of conference without some focus on education stuff, and there seems to be software here for marking your work, software here for detecting if you've been plagiarizing, all sorts of bits and pieces. So I'm sure if you're a teacher, this is definitely the place where you'd want to be. So it's my understanding that there's some potential YouTube nerds on here, and I mean that in the best possible way, or should it be geeks? I don't know. I don't mean it in a derogatory sense. I mean it in people like myself. And I'm going to see if I can hunt out any. I should have put a call out really, but I was a bit lazy and didn't bother. So I'll just sort of do one now and see if anybody's about. So I bumped into David, or Dave.
It's Dave.
Dave, sorry. Coolman. And you'll recognize him from Twitter and from RetroNet and loads of things.
Exactly. My main quote of the last year was, is there a RetroNet inside or will it fit inside? And yeah, it does.
Now you have your RetroNet though, are you using it?
I'm using it not that much at the moment, but that's also due to a lack of time. But when I do, it works like a charm.
I think we need to finish that project. I've got a lot of parts sitting, and I need to do something.
You have to finish that project pretty soon as well.
Well, what I'm going to do, and I will set a challenge. We know that Brian, Power Crazy on Twitter, he helped me out sourcing the parts. I think he'll help me out building some boards. So I think we'll commit him to making the boards.
Yeah, Brian is the guy who sent us the great picture of the cable, the non-working twisted cable. Yeah, he should definitely do some work.
So there you go, Brian. You have to do it. So we're going to have a look around the show and see if we can find. I think there's microbits and pies everywhere, like, you know, and just gadgets. We're going to find some gadgets. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can convince somebody to give me a gadget. We'll see. See you later.
Bye for now. See you soon.
Seem to have spotted something interesting here. I can never resist something that looks like a kind of a Space Invaders game or a Pac-Man game, or just a random pair of floating eyes. Look at that. Gorgeous technology there. You've got your lithium cell there and some basic boards for I/O. And there's obviously the brains there. Look, Mega 2560 Pro Mini. Brilliant. If you fancy something like that, have a look at this company. Creo Code. They've got even a little robot-y head thing. There's always a robot-y tracking head somewhere. So I'm not going to name any names or point any fingers at sort of booths at shows, but I've been to a lot of shows, and I can tell you, just from looking at a booth, if it's going to be a popular one or a lame one. And it costs a lot of money to have a booth or a stand at a show. So if ever you're thinking of doing it, spend the extra money and consult with a designing company just to ensure that, you know, your presence there is giving value to your company. Because if you're just basically sat there and nobody's coming to your booth, then you basically just wasted your time. Don't do that.
We're seeing the world's second biggest economy, China, actively.
God, we all love a bit of Fisher Technique, don't we? Look at all the gadgets you can make with it. Fantastic. Our school was always a bit too poor to have Fisher Technique. We certainly didn't have anything even approaching the computing power of a microbit. Disappointingly. Drones, always some drones. You can see a few drones at every show. Any show you go to nowadays is going to have some drones, and somewhere here there's going to be a little bit of VR. I can promise you that. Look at this sort of equipment. This is great. If you want to do some experiments, that would be the kit you want your school to get, I can assure you. Weights and pulleys, levers. So I'm still searching, I'm still hunting down something to fascinate. It's they say it's a free show. Registration here is free, but certainly it's not a free show, because by the time you add your parking, which is a flat rate of £20 for the day, and your fuel, which, depending on what you drive, could be anywhere between 20 and 40 quid to 100 quid, depending how far you come. Yeah, let's face it. This is an expensive show, more or less. It can be. So Excel is one of those locations that's just a bit tricky. Sometimes the, you might find like the NEC is a bit handier, but I've always think Excel looks handy, but never really is. So now that I'm here and made the investment, I kind of feel obligated to find something interesting. Google sponsored area, and I can tell you, when I was actually at the CES, Google had a lot of presence there, and they had a lot of stuff that I didn't even get a chance to see. So maybe, just maybe, we can have a look to see what's going on here. Google cardboard action going on. Plenty of Chromebooks. Everyone, of course, would love a Chromebook if they can.
Back of the show.
So that was Dave, and as I said, he was supporting me on the RetroNet development, and I have to say I'm super embarrassed in some respects on getting that project so far along and kind of not completing it to the point that people can buy it, which is ridiculous considering the hardware's done, even the enclosure's done, the technology's done, and Dave kindly produced the manual, so the manual's done, and even quite a few people have the sort of early units, and I even sent one to Nostalgia Nerd, so it's kind of there, and it's a great way of getting all these old machines onto the web. And it's just like, just get on with it and bloody do it. There's value, there's value there. And I have to look at it in the other way. I kind of look at a lot of things because I do a lot of, I guess to some degree I'm a businessman. Maybe not a good one, but I am one. And sometimes it's hard to see the value in a certain activity. But I'm thinking of it all wrong, really. My goal and vision for that project was to help people enjoy their old machines, and that should be it. That is the means to an end. That, it shouldn't have to even make profit. It shouldn't have to do that. It should just actually just work and help people. And I think Dave's really reminded me that that's the passion, and it's easy when you're busy to not think like that. So there you go. That's my bit of soul searching for today, and I'm sort of infused now to go and do something about it. But let's before that, let's still just have a look through the rest of this show. The last time I was here was actually at the Comic-Con, I think, or maybe I was at an AWS conference, but the last major one that was of interest was Comic-Con, and that was great. Quite a different audience though, and certainly different stands. So I've just been chatting to a few different companies, and one of them had a very interesting technology. In fact, it's this one in front of me right now, called Class VR, which is a sort of shared VR experience. So these, I guess, are self-contained basically, and I guess they're very similar specification to the sort of Android phone, Google Cardboard type things. But you can download all their content from a web portal, so you can manage what each device can see, so that everybody, with that device, you can basically control a classroom of people. So it's designed primarily for schools, but of course that could have quite a lot of good business applications there. This is interesting. This is a bit like CES, where you had the different countries. Look, Korea. I wonder if the Korean government is really sponsoring hard some of the companies to come and sort of try to sell their products. So here you see talking pens. Quite like the idea of some talking pens. And what's this one? Lux Robo. Whatever you do, don't touch it. You don't want to touch it. But look, that looks like some sort of modular robot building things here. So you have inputs in the purple there, the outputs in the orange, set up in the sort of mustard. And you like a 3D printed design using your blocks. I think that's quite a snazzy idea. These are always the more interesting sort of things, aren't they? These sort of gadgets and widgets. There you go. Looks like a little standard robot that you can down there, in there. You can see it right here. And then you just make your own little cardboard chassis for it to live in. Isn't that fun? I think Nintendo are doing something like that recently. Oh, this looks like an interesting project box, doesn't it? Look, everything you could ever want to do an interesting project. All of the modules there. Motors, sensors, create your own thing. So that's the Choco Pie board. So if they're interested in it, contact Andrea right away. Right away. You'll have all the kids coding. Look at that. You're teaching young kids how to code using sort of cardboard counters. Interesting. Line following robots. These do. True. All in one coding robot. Everybody's trying to teach the old kids to code at the moment, but do kids want to code? Suppose they do. Seems to be a lot of interest in the old microbit, so why not? And why not introduce these alternate programming paradigms? You know, like drawing stuff. I mean, that's okay, isn't it? If it works. So I think I'm getting a bit tired now, and you're probably tired of hearing me babble. And fortunately for you, the sort of CES show and Detroit Motor Show and whatever that other bloody show, all of that kind of was a bit screwed. So I'm not even sure you're going to see the video. This one I'm hoping isn't, because I'm using my own camera, and you're suffering through this. But my back is starting to hurt. I've only been here probably about an hour and a half, but that's about as much time I'm willing to spend on my feet, which is ironic, seeing as I can run, but I can't walk for very long. And there's no massage seats here like there was in CES. So if you are in education or an education technology related subject, I think you could find a worse place to be. I'll post the video up as soon as possible, and it's actually running till Saturday, I believe. So you'll see this video, and if you're in the area, you can use the opportunity to come and see it for yourself. Check out this. This is the X Grip, and you'll not believe how firm that is. Look, I'm trying to force that. Seriously. Have you got any science behind the how many kilos? So, Mr. Tom's World. And he's got a creation here, which is the legendary Simon game. But what he's done, he's actually just ripped apart a probably working Simon game, a classic.
It wasn't, it was broken.
Oh, it's broken.
Yeah, literally ripped it apart, soldered some wires on inside, and then the microbit here is now running a Simon game.
A Simon game. So let me have a go then. How do
Put it back together.
So like all these sorts of projects, you have to put the wires in. Now I remember at Radio Shack or Tandy, they used to have these sorts of things all the time. Oh wow, so it's actually powering this and driving it.
The switches are a bit dodgy, so it had bulbs in traditionally, not bright enough.
So now these are LEDs.
The LEDs, and there's a speaker underneath.
Wow.
And then on here you've got your switches feeding back.
Okay.
You've got Darlington pair driver to drive the LEDs.
Yeah.
A little 2-transistor amplifier.
So I like that package for your Darlington pair. You got a few in there then. That's
yeah, there's the ULM something or other.
But you say there's sound.
Yeah.
So the microbit can do sound, can
Yeah.
it?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So the microbit you can put a speaker on.
I've got to get myself a microbit, and every time I go down to the Hackspace in Oxford, they're only like £8 or something.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of
Marvellous.
really it.
Are you enjoying all the other creations?
Yeah, there's some nutty things here that people have made. But there's so much you can do with a microbit. There's sound, there's radio, so you can get two microbits like talking to each other.
Wow.
There's Bluetooth on them. It's just so much.
The world is your micro bit.
It is.
Crikey. So that was bloody awesome. Can't believe I met two people from Twitter, YouTube world. So that's made it all worthwhile for me, actually. I feel now I can go home happy. The perfect end to the perfect morning. Another poorly narrated video at a show by me. However, I got to meet a couple of people I've been really looking forward to meeting, and I have, which is absolutely fantastic. I've got the idea to plan a meet-up somewhere, and I've got the drive to finish my RetroNet. So I think it's been a successful trip all round. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Now here's something you don't see every day. If you look on the right, there was this dark cloud, dark cloud, and all the traffic started braking. And the reason was there was a vehicle on the other side road on fire, on actual fire. Didn't look like anybody was hurt. They'd all kind of gone to different cars. But there you go. That's some real A-team stuff right there. You get to see everything at these shows, don't you? I kind of wonder what happened. Maybe they left the oil cap off. That happens. And yeah, be careful with your oil cap. That's all I can say. And we all sped off into the distance.